Hi everyone, it's Amalia, founder of S.T.E.M Braids and Beyond and host of the Silver Bullet podcast. Today I have such an incredible guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm LaVar McCline. I'm the owner of Hey Design Guy, which is a creative and design consultant agency, as well as the executive director for HDGU, which is a nonprofit to empower our people to, get into STEM careers.
And how can anybody get in touch with you?
Well, you can get in touch with me if you're looking for design work. You can reach me at info@heydesignguy.com. Or if you're looking to get into the STEM or for my nonprofit, it's info@hdguuniversity.org, as well as you can just find me on LinkedIn at LaVar McCline.
Awesome. So tell me what a day in your job as a design guy and in the nonprofit looks like.
Yeah, so for the design guy, I primarily work with small clients as well as larger clients to help them with their design, any type of brand development, marketing, different initiatives, whether it could be a website redesign for accessibility, for user experience to make sure that the user has the best possible experience, whether they're using someone's website or mobile app. And then from the nonprofit side, I've partnered with IBM to utilize this amazing platform that they built pretty much during COVID called Skills Build. So that platform has free courses, free trainings, things like that. And best of all, anyone from a high school student to an adult looking for re-entry, they can actually get an IT certification completely for free.
Awesome. I was about to ask you about cost, and then you're like, it's all
It's
free.
free. It's free. It's free. Free for
No burden to you except your time.
yes. Correct. Correct.
So because I know you outside of this, go ahead and tell us who some of your clients are for the design guy. Don't flex too hard, but just tell us.
Okay, so I've been in design for about 25 years. So I've worked with anywhere from Rosetta Stone to PNC Bank to FedEx even. That was a fun contract and project I had with them. Most recently, some of my larger clients are University of Pittsburgh, as well as Carnegie Mellon University, where I'm working with their CS program to revamp it.
Oh, awesome. So how did you get into the creative aspect of your work?
Oh, that's funny because so being when I was younger, I actually wanted to be a carpenter. So I actually went to a vocational high school, and I was once I graduated, I went to the Illinois carpentry school, and I was a carpenter's apprentice for about 3 years. When that job really that really didn't work out because it was hard to really find a job in that field, especially as a Black man. It was pretty tough. So I've always had the passion for design and video games and creativity. So I decided to actually start going to school for that. So I started off at the Art Institute, and I ended up shifting to Robert Morris because they had an actual media arts program. So my whole thought process was I was going to create video games, cartoons, learn more about animation, and I actually got more into the graphic design or the print side of things, and I was just really good at it, and I was good at branding and marketing, and that's just kind of how it happened. And here I am, Hey Design Guy.
Hey, design guy.
Design.
Do you see a parallel in carpentry and design?
So carpentry, kind of like design, it starts with planning out your project, whatever, right? So it's a planning segment of it. Is actually knowing your audience or knowing what your client's looking for, whatever, right? So before you craft something, like, you tend to talk to the client, know what they're looking for, so you can almost like customize it to their personality and things like that. And design's the same way, right? The first thing you do is you would meet with a client, whatever, right? You have you kind of like a briefing session, right? Where you fully understand the project, understand what it entails, understand their target audience, what they're looking for, and the best possible platform for delivery.
Okay, so a little bit about the nonprofit. How did you get into that work?
So the nonprofit actually kind of happened the same way. I used to work with children, so I used to mentor with DCFS. Back this was after I graduated undergrad in College of Chicago, and I just saw like it was just some amazing kids, right? So they may be in the system, but they may have been dealt a bad hand. You know what I'm saying, like their parents may have passed, their parents may have been on drugs, and nobody else was around. But you had great kids, and I think that opened my eyes to the possibility that everybody deserves a chance, right? You know what I mean? Because we all have our biases, things like that, right? Those are just things that we see and or we hear about, but until you're actually there. So the nonprofit actually, I helped kids finish high school. I helped a couple kids get into college. So that's where I really found my passion for just giving back, because I was once one of them kids, right? So I grew up without my father, never met him. My mother wasn't really around. I was raised by my grandmother, but every day I had to make choices to kind of stay on the straight and narrow
Mhm.
or actually go sideways, whatever, right? So I know for me growing up at that time, I wish I had somebody that was like, hey, here's an alternative. Here's some things you may not think about, whatever, right? Like, I'm saying, science, technology, arts, math, things like that. So that's kind of how I got started with that.
So you didn't see the kids as lost causes. You saw them as kids that can be redirected and pointed in the.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. There, there were some amazing kids, and I definitely learned a lot from them, honestly.
Yeah, actually, let me tell you how we connected. We were just talking about this podcast, and then in our preliminary conversation, you were like, "I'm after the kids that nobody else wants to go
Yeah.
after." It's like
Correct.
he's my guy.
Correct. 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 Because especially here in Baltimore, right? You know, there's a lot going on in most major cities, right? Whether it's major cities like Baltimore, Chicago, no matter where you are, whatever, right? But it's always there's no such thing as a bad kid,
Right.
you know. There's just someone that probably needs guidance, whatever, right? And I think that as a black man, we owe it to our younger selves, right, and the next generation to kind of help them to kind of find their path, the same way as somebody has helped us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, what was your dream job as a child?
Oh, so that's the thing, right? So because I was in carpentry, I was probably the only 11, 12-year old that was faithfully watching Bob Vila and like this old house. Like my dream was to get old enough where I could own a house that had like a wood shop. So that's all I could do is just build things and things like that. So that was initially my dream job. Then it shifted into like I said, I was always into video games and cartoons and things like that. So I kind of wanted to animate stuff, right? Kind of like The Simpsons and things like that. So
Oh,
I know, I know, I know.
but before you went into carpentry, like as a child, third, fifth grade, what was your dream job? Did you have a dream job then?
I would say probably when I was younger, it was like a firefighter, right? Or like a pilot or something like that, right? Like, you know what I'm saying, flying jets or things like that. Like I don't think like I think for me as a kid, I was always fascinated by space, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like astronauts and things like that. But also just like flying, whatever, right? Just I'm saying anything aviation really related I was into, like helicopters and things like that. But like I said, when I actually got older and I really wanted to like, yo, this is what I want to do. Like I'm pretty good with my hands. I like building things. I like creating different things. Carpentry was definitely my thing.
How were you academically in school?
Academically at school, it was crazy because um I was a good student when I
Mhm.
was focused. I was like I was the kind of kid like even through high school, right? Like I would probably, um, especially my junior and senior year of high school, I would kind of miss a few classes here and there, but I would then go to school and like ace the test. You know what I mean? And what brought my grade average down was my attendance, right? But like, I would actually go in and like it was wild because I want to say my freshman and sophomore year, people would actually pay me to help them do stuff. You know what I mean? Like help them to understand homework and stuff like that. So it was almost like I wouldn't say tutoring, but it was similar to that. But my mother wouldn't allow me to work. So that's kind of what I did to kind of get extra money.
Oh, wow. And did those academics, something you said is that when you were focused, or is it that when you were engaged in the topic in the classroom? Is there a
Um,
difference?
it is. I would definitely say probably a little bit of both, right? Because of course, if some interest you, you'll probably take more of a proactive approach, right? You want to learn more about it. You want to be more engaged. But as you know, a lot of inner city schools, they aren't the best, right? You know what I'm saying? So you may have those one or two teachers that you can really connect with that may, and I think that's the importance of understanding the role of a teacher, whatever, right? Like I'm saying, if you have to be engaged with your students, you have to understand who your demographic is, right? You know what I mean? Like Black history was was very important to me with that, right? It was something about it, right? When I went to that class, and I remember the teacher's name was Mr. Wimberly. You know what I mean? He was like this cool older Black dude. Like I think he was like a part-time cop or a retired cop or something. But he was just so cool and calm, whatever. And as a Black boy, seeing that in the classroom, I think that's what helped me kind of connect with the subject matter as well with that, right? Because the teacher actually looked like me, whatever, right? He can relate, and he was just like calm, right? No matter what was going on, I don't think he ever lost his cool or got loud or anything. It was just he was awesome.
How did those academics transfer to college? Were you able to manage the college coursework well, or like what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I think for college was it was tough at first, right? Because for college you just have to take a bunch of courses that you may never use down the line. You know what I mean? So the ones I focused on was more of the creative side, right? For the ones for like web design or like videos and like animation and things like that. And like even drawing, whatever, right? Like I used to draw cartoons and comic books back in the day. So for me, it did help me to kind of navigate to kind of where I'm now.
Yeah, I think it's so important that what you just said about the gen ed classes, like it's burdens, it feels burdensome, but it's like 24 credits, which is
Yeah.
like it's a handful of classes, and then you get to do the thing you love. And for people who may have never gone to college, they may not realize it's not a burdensome curriculum the entire time. It's a couple core classes, general education, and then you get to do the thing you love, right?
Yep. And honestly, I think like I've always looked at education as a as a necessity. You know what I mean? Like I was the first person in my family to really go to school.
Wow.
And I literally had to fight my mother because I actually lived with her as I started getting older. So going into high school,
Right.
that's when I started living with her, and like she told me, she was like, you need to just find a regular job like everybody else. And I'm like, but I see you coming home, I see everybody else just unhappy, complaining, but they're staying. I'm like, I want to do something different. And
Wow.
literally, she was just not supportive. You know what I mean? Like she told me that, I'm not going to support you, things like that. So for me, I was more determined, was like, well, this is what I'm going to do with that, right? So I think my mindset, toward being the best me possible, even at a young age. That's what kept me out of gangs. You know what I'm saying? Kept me out of a lot of trouble because I thought differently.
I think your grandma writes hard.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm looking back on your journey, and even as you work with different people coming into the HGG school, what do you wish you knew sooner, or what do you hear from them as wishing they knew sooner about being able to pursue a career in STEM or information technology?
Yeah. So what's funny is a lot of people that I've met, they really don't know what type of jobs they can get when it comes to STEM careers. You know what I mean? Like whether it's students or even adults, right? Because there's adults that maybe right like during COVID, maybe they were like a employee, meaning that you went to work every day, never missed a day, was on time, things like that. But when your industry shut down, right, like the hotel shut down, like you had to pivot, right? Like there was nothing you did wrong. You know what I'm saying? It was just shut down, so you had to make money somehow. So to transition into a other career or to even gain knowledge of different things, that's what I wish I could have done sooner is to get more into like community involvement, whatever, right? Work with these various schools around here, things like that to really get them going. Because when I go into these classrooms and I tell kids what I do,
Mhm.
and like the different careers, like how much money they can make, like even right out of high school, bless you, right, without even going into college, like their eyes really like light up with that, right, and the interest is there, but where they really want to learn more.
I so agree. Have you experienced imposter syndrome in your journey?
Yes, yeah, I would definitely say, especially when it comes to, well, actually, in both instances, for my actual agency, my design agency, as well as for the nonprofit, right? So I'll speak to the design agency first. It's always like, how am I here, whatever, right? As a black boy coming from Chicago, whatever, right? How am I sitting here, whatever, right? Or I'm part of this event, or somebody wants me to speak, or somebody wants me to actually work on this project. You know what I mean? So I think we all kind of get that. From a nonprofit side, it's like from a design standpoint, I've always worked with various nonprofits, right? So I was the creative director for National PTA. I work with K-12 as their senior manager, right, overseeing their online courses, things like that. So for years, I've worked with nonprofits, but to actually create one and to start one was like, man, I really don't know what I'm doing. So it was that lesson learned, but you just know what you don't know. So what I've learned is to embrace it, whatever, right? If you feel that you're not ready for it, read up on it, whatever, right? Talk to somebody, find a mentor, things like that. But but yeah, I definitely have, and every now and then those kind of thoughts creep up in my head, like, yo, am I good enough? Am I this? And the truth of the matter is, you are whatever, right? That's why people are calling you and reaching out to you.
Oh wow. So did you experience any imposter when IBM reached out and say, hey, we would like you to?
So yeah, because IBM is such a huge name, whatever, right? They're like the epitome of like technology, right? You think of IBM, you think of this massive behemoth, and like for me, having a grassroots kind of nonprofit organization helping kids, but the more that I talk to them, whatever, right, and I understand what their focus was and how our focus aligned, like I was like, yo, this would be great because having a name like IBM behind you, whatever, right, for their skills build platform,
Mhm.
that just makes you even look better, whatever, right? So now I feel confident to go in any room with like, well, I'm partnered with IBM. So now I want to partner with you as well, whatever, right? To help engage our communities and our kids.
Wow. I, I so love that. And you said that the IBM partnership came during COVID. So you had to be prepared for the opportunity before the opportunity showed up.
Yeah, but like most opportunities, right? We may not know that the opportunity is coming, whatever, right? So my nonprofit, I got my 501c3, I want to say June, July of like 2019, whatever, right? So the IBM prospect didn't come until literally like last year with that, right? So there were talks and things like that, but it really didn't actually come into fruition until last year. Now I'm implementing it this year. So I've been going out all summer, hitting up the summer camps, talking to kids, things like that. Like I have a potential amazing initiative with the Baltimore Library System here,
Nice.
as well as other organizations back in Dallas, Chicago, things like that, to work with them to implement it. So it's pretty great.
I love it. It's so awesome. So my last question for you is what does STEM mean to you?
STEM to me means opportunity, whatever, right? Like I'm a nerd, honestly. Like I'm the biggest nerd you probably meet, from comic books to technology to anything fascinating. So for STEM to me means opportunities, right? Like STEM And STEAM are the jobs of the future, whatever, right? And it's in various aspects. It could be bioengineering, it could be data scientists, it could be gaming, animation, things like that, whatever, right? Where you work with computers, data scientists. Like STEM is the wave, honestly, right? As the kids say right there, right? It's the wave. It's what's new, it's what's happening, and it's not going away, right? And it's just growing every single day, as we can see with Chat GPT, things like that, like the various technologies. STEM is definitely the gateway to all your possibilities.
Oh, wow. I love it. Okay, well, you've been a great guest today. Let's go ahead and close out the podcast. Bye, everybody.
Also, thank you.
Absolutely.